Those are all the reasons, the background for why we are where we are now. And this is the exciting part of where we're at this point, is focusing all of that experience and energy into giving people direct experience, real experience on a sailboat, coming out with us on escape velocity and developing those skills in real time, in real situations on the boat. An immersive training environment, a live aboard environment, a miles building environment where we're actually going to be sailing offshore, anchoring in remote locations, finding some squirrely conditions to really, in a safe environment where you have the experience around you, but letting folks experience a taste of what it's like, or what it can be like when the wind's picking up, right? When you're in gale force and reefing your sails down and dealing with some gnarly seas, testing your stomach. Do you get seasick? Can you physically handle those kind of conditions? Is it something that you and your family would enjoy? Because although 90% of your experience is going to be on an anchor somewhere or in a marina somewhere, there is the getting around part, and that's the part where things can go terribly wrong or things can be terribly uncomfortable, and you need to know how you're going to respond and feel about that from real experience. And if you're taking sailing courses to help you prepare for your own boat ownership, then this is what this experience is designed for. To really feel firsthand what it means to be on a boat, to be offshore, to deal with those kind of conditions. And it's like you can't really feel confident about buying something. For example, like buying your first car. You just got your driver's license. You've driven, you got maybe like 20 hours of driving under your belt or something. And now you're out to buy your first car. You probably don't even realize all the things you don't know about owning a car that you would want to know to inform the purchase of that vehicle, right? Do I want fuel consumption? Do I want power? What kind of driving do I enjoy doing? What kind of environments will I realistically be driving in? City driving all the time? Or will I be taking those weekends up the mountain and driving through the mud? Do I need rear differential, locking rear differential, and mud and snow tires, or do I need rain slicks, or all these things? Do I need a diesel engine? Do I need a gasoline engine? What kind of fuel will I have access to? Do I know how to change my own oil? Do I know how to replace the timing belt if I need to replace the timing belt? Are there good mechanics here that can do that for me so I don't have to worry about that kind of thing? If you start using that kind of an analogy, right, you really need, Dad to come car shopping with you for that first time. So he can sort of give you an idea on, here son, here's the kind of things you might want to consider when you're buying this car. Well, we don't really have a dad when we're maybe in our 50s or 60s or whatever age, it doesn't matter, and we're going sailboat shopping. We really have just our lived experience to that point, and our ideas from our own research or whatever about what it might be like. But that's a huge disadvantage. I always like to also use the analogy, it's like climbing a mountain, right? So you've probably gone for hikes in your park, and you know that you might need, good shoes and bring some water and maybe bring some snacks with you. And you've seen documentaries on climbing K2 or Mount Everest. You would be a fool to then think, Well, I think this weekend I'm going to go climb K2 or Mount Kilimanjaro or something. Because I've been hiking for 15 years in my local woods behind my house. It's you would in your own self realize you're being foolish, and anyone you talked to would be thinking you're a crazy person. So it's not any different, in my opinion, when it comes to the idea of setting sail as a lifestyle. I'm not talking about buying, a Hunter Legend and racing on the weekend and keeping it in your local yacht club in downtown Vancouver or whatever, wherever you are. That's the going for the hike in the backyard in the local, forest and local park, and that's fine and that's great. But the idea that you're going to buy a cruising boat and move your whole family onto it potentially and go sailing for years and cross an ocean or circumnavigate or whatever is tantamount to climbing that mountain. And there's a lot of preparation that needs to go into that. Your technical knowledge, gaining as much experience as you can, the physical training that is completely overlooked when it comes to a lifestyle sailing. And there's a lot of people want to get into a sailing lifestyle for the lifestyle and health benefits. You're outside, you're moving around more all the time. Everything's moving around you. So you're just, by virtue of moving onto a boat, going to live a fitter lifestyle. You're just more active all the time. And you're constantly learning because you're involved with repairing systems and dealing with problems. A hose pops off because a hose clamp rusted up and broke, and you got water pouring into your bilge. You can't just wait and call the handyman and go out for dinner. It's an immediate thing. You got to deal with it now. And those kind of, great surprises as being a boat owner come up, and you need to be prepared to deal with it. And in doing so, you're actively learning and you're actively moving and doing things, right? But to think that with relatively little experience and relatively little investigation or research into the lifestyle, it would be tantamount to that guy being like, well, I've done some reading and I bought a bunch of technical stuff from MEC, and I'm ready. Let's go climb K2. I bought an oxygen tank and put the mask on. It works. There's so much you don't understand about altitude sicknesses and atmospheres and nitrox loading in your blood. It's like people who want to go scuba diving without taking at least a minimum amount of training and minimum amount of dive trips with experienced people around you, so you don't get the bends and die, right? I'm not trying to be scary or overly dramatic about sailing, because sailing doesn't need to be scary or dramatic if you approach it in that very methodical way and not assume or presume to buy a boat and think you're ready to go cross an ocean and circumnavigate. It's a very sexy and romantic notion. It's a very foolish and dangerous notion unless you take the steps and prepare yourself for all those things that you will need to know and be prepared physically and mentally to deal with in a very real and a very emergent way in a lot of the times, right? That squall blowing through at 40 knots at 2 in the morning doesn't come with a lot of preparation, but you need to be immediately prepared and know what to do when that condition is foisted upon you. So going forward, so that's the catch up. That's everything that we've done, where we came from, what we've been doing for the last 5 years here, and what we're up to now. So that's the exciting thing. Launching this sailing school, we're very, very excited about it. We're very, very excited about being able to give people that real world experience that will absolutely inform your decisions on A, whether you want to even get involved in the cruising lifestyle, B, what kind of boat you're going to want, what kind of sailing you're going to want to do, the things that you're going to the things that you enjoy about actually being on a boat, the things that you find are lacking. Those personal preferences come into play when you've physically first person experienced it, and you're not trying to academically or theoretically decide, do I want a center cockpit boat? Do I want an aft cockpit boat? Can I live without a swim transom? Do I absolutely need dual helms? Do I want a sloop? Do I want a cutter? Do I want a ketch? You know, until you've experienced some aspect of those things, it's really hard to just guess at it based on watching videos or reading what your real preferences are, and what you could live with, what you would be very happy with, and what you absolutely do not enjoy in a sailboat or in a sailing experience. So that's what I'm thrilled to be able to bring to the market. There's very few opportunities out there for people to have that kind of experience, and I think it's every bit as valuable as taking, or let me say it this way, I think it's far many times more valuable than just paying for like several ASA courses on their own, right? Or getting your 6-pack through the US Coast Guard, or one of these things. All very valuable things, all things I encourage. And it's very good information, but it's incomplete information. And I think that there's so much value in an experience like this, where you get to get behind the wheel of a sailboat in the shit and feel the spray in your eyes, sting in your eyes, while, you know, something goes haywire on deck, and you've got to figure out, how do I handle this situation? When you've been in that role and you've spent several nights on a boat, and you understand what it means to consume water or prepare your provisions for several days, or you maybe don't have a freezer, or you have limited space, or you have so many crew and you have limited space, and you only can choose so many things that will fit in the fridge or the freezer, or all these kind of things, how much solar you have, and how much battery capacity you have, and how do you manage that resource while you're at sea for several days on end. These kind of things are the kind of things that you can't learn from an ASA course or any license course until you get, for example, into the higher levels. And even then, you can academically have that knowledge and the amount of time where you are on course for, say, a yacht masters, offshore yacht masters. You are getting hands-on experience, and you're on a boat, but you're talking a few days on a boat, right? This is your opportunity to spend a week or more on a boat, sailing in real world environments, sailing in some of the most beautiful environments on the planet. And so we're super, super excited to be able to bring that to the market. And we're super excited that this is the evolution of what started out, that some of you have seen from the beginning to where we are now. That's the cruising lifestyle. It's so much more than just being on a sailboat. It's a much more holistic thing, and you have to be open to what that experience will do, where that experience will bring you. And that's a big part of also what I want to be able to bring to my clients, to our friends, that experience, having been there, having lived through that, the holistic aspect of it. You know, it's not just about buying your boat, it's about where you buy the boat, what kind of environment you're going to live in, what kind of country, what kind of culture you're going to live in, potentially. All the technical experience that we've obtained over these years, the surveying background, brokering background, the background I have physically rebuilding a sailboat and working in composites, and bringing these experiences to bear to our clientele so that you get to really, ask questions and really get a perspective on all of these aspects of a lifestyle, not just how to trim a sail. It's so much more than just how to trim a sail. It's so much more than just doing an oil change every 100 hours or whatever. Everyone's experience is going to be different, and if you talk to 100 sailors, you'll get 100 different opinions about what that is all about. Everyone's free to make up their own mind, but I really truly believe that we bring a offering, a background into the market that is truly unique, it's truly holistic, and that's the kind of energy and the kind of experience that I want to impart on our clients, on our friends, so that you feel prepared on all those aspects of the lifestyle, or maybe make the decision that the next lifestyle is not for you. And that being said, again, folks will spend several $1,000s on a yacht survey and to decide whether or not that boat is the right boat for them. And equally, or even more so important again, is the concept of spending that little bit of money on getting that real world sailing experience, taking a really in-depth sail training course. Because just like a survey could prevent you from spending a fortune on a bad investment, that experience firsthand on sailboats could be the difference of you spending a fortune on a lifestyle that just is not right for you and or your family. And that is an invaluable expense to spare yourself for a little bit of money up front to have that experience. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.